Let's welcome in our Ryan Wilson live from Mobile, Alabama, getting ready for the Senior Bowl out there. And just your initial thoughts. This is something that has been in the works. We've heard about rumblings of this for the last few days, but Brady coming out and making it official on his social media. Your thoughts on Brady making that announcement that he is indeed retiring?
Jenny, I thought this day would never come because for the longest time we spent our time talking about Tom Brady playing until age 50, and this seemed to happen pretty quickly. We heard Jason LaCanfora talk earlier today about how things started to unravel, and the more he dug, the more it seemed like this was going to actually happen. And last week he said that it's going to happen in a matter of days, and here we are days later, and Tom Brady has officially retired. What I take away from his statement today is that it just seemed like he wasn't willing to go through all the preparation that is needed to be ready for an NFL season, and you can certainly understand that after more than 2 decades of sheer domination. And it's not like he's 23 or 24. He's now in his mid-40s, and that's a lot of work. He now has kids that are getting older and older, teenagers, and he probably wants to spend time with them, spend time with his family. And if you remember the documentary from a few years ago, he and Giselle, his wife, talked about the possibility of retirement, and it seemed like it may have been closer than perhaps what it was at the time. And now, a few years later, here we are. I would imagine that last playoff loss is a huge disappointment, but there are plenty of things that Tom Brady can look back on during his career and be quite proud of, because as we've heard all morning, he is the greatest to ever do it, and there's no doubt about that.
Crazy to think that he made the announcement that he's done. You can't dedicate yourself to this sport in the way that he would want to, yet at age 44 set career highs in yards and completions, the most ever. But here we are. Now, something I got to ask you, our guy Will Brinson was asking about it as well. You take a look forward to the Hall of Fame. So you have to be out of the NFL for 5 years. That brings us to the class of 2027. Tom Brady potentially joining the class with Ben Roethlisberger. I want to hear your take on this.
Well, Jenny, I'm a Steelers homer like B-Mac, so I support all things black and gold. And I heard Will Brinson's comments. I'm a little upset that neither you nor Tommy Tran pushed back on that, because Ben Roethlisberger's won 2 Super Bowls. He's had a fantastic career. He never had a losing record in Pittsburgh. I would argue that Ben Roethlisberger's going to keep Tom Brady out of the Hall of Fame for the first ballot. That's a joke. That's not going to happen, clearly. Listen, for as much as I like to disagree with Brinson, he may be onto some nugget of truth here. I think he stumbled into this one. I'll give him credit for that. Peter King, longtime Sports Illustrated reporter and writer, and who now is been a Hall of Fame voter forever, mentioned this in his column on Monday morning. There's a possibility, depending on who else retires this year, along with Brady and Big Ben, that perhaps Big Ben is the odd man out. You can't have 5 quarterbacks going in as first ballot Hall of Famers, even though all 5 could be deserving. And in this case, certainly 2 are in Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger. We'll see what else happens. What's Rob Gronkowski going to do? Is Rob Gronkowski a first ballot Hall of Famer? He would obviously go in with Tom Brady as well. So there are a lot of moving parts to this. The Hall of Fame committee is a fickle bunch, let's be honest. And there certainly are situations and scenarios where Big Ben could have to wait a year. To me, that seems ludicrous given the career he's had, but that's the reality of it. And, I'll be honest, 2022 has been all John Breach and all Will Brinson, and Ryan Wilson, the third leg of the Pick Six podcast here, ain't doing so great.
Oh, give yourself more credit there. All right, so when you look at, there's a lot of moving pieces, obviously, in general, but you look at Tampa Bay and this upcoming season. You're at the Senior Bowl right now. Do you think the Bucs will be actively looking for a quarterback at this time?
That would be a resounding yes. Blaine Gabbert is no longer under contract, and he's been the longtime backup, the former first-round pick of the Jaguars. Kyle Trask, they drafted on day 2 last year, the first quarterback in the second wave of quarterbacks ago. He took exactly 0 regular season snaps, had a really good career at Florida, but and no one is. He is no Tom Brady, so they have to figure some things out. We'll see what Bruce Arians decides to do. We'll see what happens with Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, as they move forward in terms of formulating this offense. But I think the first conversation starts with, okay, free agency. Russ Wilson, of course, Aaron Rodgers going to Tampa Bay would be something else. Deshaun Watson is still out there. Maybe the second-tier guys like Kirk Cousins. I don't think at this point that Derek Carr's going to go anywhere now that Josh McDaniels there, but certainly Jimmy Garoppolo may have played his last snap for San Francisco, and he could be an option as well. But there are 6 quarterbacks here All of them are going to get drafted. 5 of them are going to get drafted on day 1 or day 2. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now have some urgency in terms of finding out if one of these guys could be their guy. They pick at the bottom of the first round, as they've done in recent years since Tom Brady's arrival. But the question becomes, who's available? How do they fit what they want to do? And do they pull the trigger on one of these quarterbacks? And most importantly, Jenny, will any of these quarterbacks be ready to go day 1? And I'm not so certain most of them will. Kenny Pickett probably will. Matt Corral perhaps. But there are a lot of quarterbacks that need some time to grow to those roles.
Ryan, thank you so much. Enjoy your week leading up to the Senior Bowl. I know we'll be checking in much more with you. So you got New England Patriot fans. They're upset they weren't even talked about in the post, and then you got Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans worried about the future of that franchise and who is going to be that quarterback coming back. And you look at what Tom Brady was able to accomplish in that 2021 regular season. An NFL record in completions, 2nd in NFL history in pass attempts, 3rd in NFL history in career high passing yards for Brady, and he led the NFL in 43 passing touchdowns. Tom Brady announcing his retirement after 7 Super Bowl victories, 10 appearances, 3 MVPs, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, and 15 Pro Bowls. Brady walking away.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.